Ready to go. Let's go, man. Let's get this game started, bro.
Get the game started. Blow the whistle. Show the world. Let's go tonight.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of The Cut. I'm your host, Christian Williams, and I am here with Randy Hall. Randy, how are you, dude?
Doing pretty good. Wish we were like 8 rounds deep in the Scott Fishbowl already, but I've come to find out that 3 rounds in is actually a little bit above average, actually.
Yeah, we had quite the issue with our 102 today, so we sat on 101 for about 4.5 hours or 5 hours or something like that, but she ended up making the pick, and so now we're rolling. We're catching up. We're at 305. I've picked 3 players. Who do you have so far?
Same. I've also picked 3. I'm at 106, as obviously listeners will know after a couple last week's episode. Yeah. I somehow got Josh Allen to start, came back around, got Kittle, and just picked Antonio Gibson as my first running back, and shouted out our old writer Matt right away to hope his projections and love is correct.
Yeah, that's a nice haul. I forgot that when I was talking with you before for that pick, I forgot that you didn't have a running back yet.
Yeah. Because normally I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Through 3 rounds, that would have been my 3rd running back normally, but here we are.
Yeah. So I'm at the 112, and I got Saquon. I followed that up with Justin Herbert, and then I got Austin Eckler. And I'm considering going another running back with the way the board's fallen here in the 3rd. So super exciting stuff. I'm it's been crazy. I'm about to be in 5 drafts right now, which is just, it's not fun. That's where, like, I tweeted out fantasy football is fun yesterday as like a reminder to myself because it's not very fun right now. But,
yeah, we're in that. We have our Cut Contributors Dynasty Startup that is in around 17, right?
Yeah, we're getting close to the end.
It's moving, but not fast enough. And then a rookie draft that took 7 hours before it actually was started on time. So we're behind on that one.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and we're about to start a 32-team dynasty. That's Randy's reaction. I kind of regret bringing that up, but all right, guys, we're not here to talk about our leagues, although this is the time. Somewhat. You guys should be if you're itching for another league. I know there's best ball out there, there's Underdog Fantasy, but now's the time to get into your dynasty startups. I know everyone's itching to draft. So you mentioned our contributors league. The reason we have our contributors league is because we have awesome writers over at thecuttffb.com. And also, this was announced last week. The coach approach from Brett Pape and Coach Bruce is coming to the Cut Podcast Network. So we're going to have that here probably in the next couple of weeks. We're doing some test shows and stuff like that, but we're very excited to have them on board within the podcast network.
Yep. First show announced of the group. First so far.
Yeah, there's going to be more. There's definitely going to be more. And then, so we're here tonight to talk through the AFC South. We've got our Burnin question segment once again, and then we're also going to be going through kind of like the NFL rumor mill and giving a buy or sell on some of the things that we're hearing. There have been a variety of crazy reports, a lot of could be's and should or could and might. So we're going to kind of sift through that and give our takes on some of those. So anything else before we start, Randy?
No, sir. Let's do this.
All right. Well, we are going to get right into our burning questions for the AFC South. Again, guys, this is our segment where we give 3 questions. We go through and we kind of give an outline for, it's kind of like a team preview type of thing. And tonight we're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. The 3 questions for the Colts: how do you see the wide receiver room playing out in 2021, specifically with Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman? Will Carson Wentz bounce back? You put it in the doc. Will he be back to an MVP form instead of a least valuable player form? We'll talk through that. We know my take on that probably by now if you've seen the show. And then the 3rd question: do the Colts have a shot to win the AFC South? Randy, your take on the wide receiver room. I know we'll talk about Paris Campbell a little bit later, so I don't want to deep dive into it. But how do you see the wide receiver room playing out in 2021?
Hopefully healthy. I think that's the biggest thing to start off. Paris obviously has never been healthy. Hilton's never really healthy. Pittman wasn't fully healthy last year. So if those 3 can stay healthy, I think they'll have a pretty good wide receiver room. Definitely above whatever Wentz had last year for the Eagles. So it will be an upgrade. I do think Pittman and Paris Campbell can be pretty good. It's just how good. I think them both breaking out of sorts will make it so neither truly breaks out, and both will be kind of in that wide receiver 3 territory. And then I think Hilton on the kind of last leg of the team will just be like a veteran presence, getting a few targets a game, helping along. That's kind of the easiest way I could say without diving into our projections, really.
Yeah, I actually didn't even pull mine up, but I think this wide receiver room is kind of I think there's some fantasy value there, right? Like, I think you can get flex weeks from Michael Pittman. You can get flex weeks from T.Y. Hilton. Paris Campbell is the guy that I think is going to step up. You look at what he was doing in the 1.5 games. Of course, extrapolating from 1.5 games is not recommended. I do not recommend doing that. However, Paris Campbell looked very, very good. That first week, he was the leading target getter. I assume that he is also going to be a main part of this offense. I was just listening to the Athletic Football Show, and Chris Ballard was on there, and he spoke very, very highly of those 2 specifically, and Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell. I think they have Campbell in the plans. He's too good, and he's still so young. He came out when he was an underclassman, and so we haven't seen what he can be because he's had a couple freak injuries. Of course, his rookie year was a little more freaky. Last year, he got his ACL torn up, I think, might have been MCL, but he is back. It seems as though he's 100%, and so I think he's going to have a good year. Now we'll talk about how good here in a little bit. So again, I don't want to deep dive into that, but all right, Carson Wentz. What do you think, Randy? Do you think he's going to bounce back in 2021? And actually, first of all, if you guys want to drop comments and leave your thoughts on these 2, we are on the comments. We will interact with you guys, so we would appreciate that. And Randy, Carson Wentz.
I think he bounced back, but I don't think it's anywhere near to the level of that MVP season before his first set of injuries. I currently have him as a QB2 for this season, mainly because I don't think there's like an alpha receiver of this group. I think it's going to be a little bit of a spread out. The tight ends aren't like superior, and I do think they're going to still be a run-heavy organization. So I do think he does a lot better than he did last year. I think he's playable, streamable. In a super flex league, he's a good QB2 for you, but I think he's going to finish like anywhere from like 15 to 18.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of what helped that MVP season was a lot of rushing, and I just don't see like an absorbent amount comparative to the top 10 guys.
Yeah. I take a look at my rankings, and I think the main thing that I had regressing was Carson Wentz got a lot of rushing touchdowns last year, like you said, in his MVP year. But even last year, he was a fantasy relevant quarterback. He was awful. He was an awful real-life NFL quarterback, just very bad. But because he was able to put the ball in the end zone on the ground, he was fantasy relevant. Do I think that happens when he has one of the better offensive lines plus Jonathan Taylor? I don't. I should because Jacoby Brissett did it all last year. And instead of bringing in, whoever's the backup is there, I don't know who it will end up being, probably Eason. But maybe they give Wentz the ball at the goal line, but you have like really good power back behind you, so there's really no reason to.
Honestly, all four of their backs are very, very good in the red zone.
Yeah,
so
even Nyheim Hines, like
even Wilkins.
yeah, it's true. And so I think some of that goes away, and I actually don't think Carson Wentz is super valuable this year. I'm fading him, especially at ADP. I know you have him in like the teens, I think you said, like 18, 19 range.
Teens, yeah. I don't want to do the exact calculation right now because it's annoying to do with the current setup. But I just don't I don't think he's gonna break 4,000 yards. I don't think he's breaking. He might get like 30 total touchdowns, passing and rushing, but I don't think he's breaking 30.
Yeah,
probably still throwing a good amount of picks. Probably still fumbling a good amount. So I mean that's just it's his game. So I think he's going to be efficient for them. I think they're going to be playoff contention team. So that's exactly what they want. I just don't know if it's I don't think in one quarterback leagues I'd want Wentz more than a really good matchup week.
Absolutely not. Do you think he's better for that team than Phillip Rivers?
Yeah, because he can do more, and it's a long-term option. It fits with like the breakout of the two young guys, and honestly, with their like throw every tight end at the board and see what sticks approach, it does fit that as well.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree. I think Phil Rivers, with as many limitations as he had last year, he at least he couldn't throw the ball deep. We knew that. He still tried, but Carson Wentz couldn't either. Carson Wentz was actually worse. If you get somewhere in between like MVP and LVP, then I think yes, he's probably better for the team than Rivers. But
well, that's what I expect.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expect too.
And that's also why I expect a decline, like abruptly for Hilton, because he is going to be like the deep threat of the three.
Yeah.
So
for sure. All right. Third question. Do the Colts have a shot to win the AFC South? That was disgusting how my voice just died there for a second, but do the Colts have a shot?
Yeah. This is a 2-team race. There's Jags have no shot, Texans have no shot, obviously. And Titans are really good. I do think Titans win it, but Colts have a shot to be in playoff contention.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would take some injuries on Tennessee's front, though, because I think they should be the clear favorite. Now that their defense isn't great, Tennessee's, and we'll talk about them here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if their defense holds up, which I don't know if it will, I don't think they got very much better, at least on that side of the ball. But they've got a good coaching staff, and they've got a really good foundation. So, yes, I think they're probably a playoff team.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on to our second team, which I don't know who it is. I think it's the Jaguars. It is certainly the Jaguars. All right, the 3 questions here. Is James Robinson dead, or will he retain a role for this backfield? Realistic expectations for Trevor Lawrence, and then and do you buy the Laviska Shenault hype? And then furthering that, how do you see that wide receiver room shaking out as well? First question, is James Robinson dead?
He's not dead.
Okay, good.
He should be pretty good. They're definitely going to be a split backfield. I understand the pick draft capital value of ETN right now, but you also got to remember this staff is probably not going to give a shit about that right now. Like they're going to, that's not what it's built like. I mean, if a 5-star comes into a college program, but the 4-star, 3-stars playing much better, the 4-star, 3-stars playing. That's how that works. That's how it works in the NFL as well. I don't think Robinson's I won't say he's better than ETN or anything. He might be better in between the tackles, but I think both play a good amount, and that really hurts both values, obviously. But
that is exactly how I have it. I actually have James Robinson out carrying Travis Etienne. Shout out Jacob. I think it's pretty split down the middle. Now, of course, I think Etienne gets more work on passing downs. I do think they mean that when they say he's their third down back. I don't think they mean that he's their he's only going to be a third down back, but I think James Robinson has a role. And I know Jeff said that he would get canceled once we find out where he has James Robinson ranked. He's big on ETN in this offense, which it's understandable when you look at Urban Meyer offenses. And the problem is I think it's Bevel. I think Bevel's running the offense, and I think James Robinson gets a lot of early down work. Initially, when this draft pick happened, I cited, Chris Carson versus Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny had draft capital. Chris Carson came in and he took the job. And so with my concerns with ETN's actual ability to run in between the tackles, you have to assume that James Robinson, with as good as he was last year, can keep some kind of role. Whether or not that's fantasy football relevant, I don't know.
Yeah, I have the same thing where I actually have Robinson getting 40 plus more rushes than ETN, but ETN, I mean, not like completely dominating the targets, but getting a good amount more than Robinson. Robinson was very efficient in the passing game last year, so it would make no sense to completely disregard his talent.
Yeah. I'm with you there. All right. And then realistic expectations for Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, we know he's been deemed the greatest of all time already. He is better than Tom Brady. So what's realistic?
I have him as QB 14.
Okay.
And I think that's fair for a team that's not going to be very good. And he's going to have to throw a lot more. He throws a lot of quick stuff, so his ADOT is not going to be high, but that's fine because it wasn't in college and it clearly worked. And I think he's going to be very, very good. I just don't think it equates to wins.
Yeah. I'm lower on him, of course. Of course I am. I was hoping that you would be higher or you would be lower on him than I am, but I have him at quarterback 21. And the reason I have him at quarterback 21 is because I think they want to run the ball. And I know there's a difference between wanting to run the ball and being able to run the ball. We talk about that a lot on this show. I actually think the Jaguars are going to stay competitive. I think they did enough on defense to be, I'm saying I think they stay in games a little bit more. Go ahead.
So you're 21 in points per game or total points?
Points per game.
Okay, because in total points, you actually have him scoring 2 more points than I do.
Okay. So that's, maybe I'm just higher on other teams or other quarterbacks. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm not. That's good. That's good news. That's good news for my brand so that I don't get canceled.
That's why I asked for both columns right there.
Yes. Well, I found out it's impossible to do, so we're going to talk through that after the show.
It's torturous. It looked awful.
It's awful. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I have him throwing 600 times still, which in a 17-game season, that's a little lesser than what that meant before, but it's still a significant number. I think the Jaguars are able to stay competitive, but I don't think they win many games. That's kind of how I view it. So,
okay.
And then
Jesus, buddy,
I'm having a rough time with my voice.
It's all that yelling you did at them youngins about fireworks.
I wasn't even youngins, dude. Yeah, I did. That's a story for off the podcast. If you're interested in that, DM me on Twitter. Do you buy the Laviska Shenault hype? I saw another tweet today from a PFF person that said Laviska greater than DJ Chark. This isn't a warning; it's a statement. Are you there? Like,
oh no, obviously not. Okay. I have Chark outpacing him clearly by like 37 points.
Yeah,
I mean he's the wide receiver 1. I mean it's just clear. I have Laviska as the wide receiver 2 and getting a good amount of carries, outpacing the vet and Marvin Jones, who is getting criminally undervalued for what he is. It's Chark's. Chark will get the top attention because he's the best receiver. Yeah. Laviska's a gadget receiver that can run a bit gadgety, but he's a better player than just a pure gadget receiver. It's the best way to describe him. Like
he's not Cordero Patterson, but he's
but he's also
He's not Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, he's not Diggs. He's not last year's Curtis Samuel, even to me.
No, not even close to me.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I understand that Laviska was very, very hyped pre-NFL draft. He went there. He had an opportunity for targets, and he performed really, really well. But this is where like context matters, I think. DJ Chark was done with that team. Absolutely. He said, I don't want to play. That's what, when you watch him play, that is what his body language said. He took what Urban Meyer said to him whenever they first met. He got in the weight room. He put on, I think, 10 extra pounds. And now I think he's going to go out and be the wide receiver that I thought. Of course, 5 months ago, I said, "Oh, DJ Chark's going to be a top 15 receiver in 2021." That's not true. I don't believe that. I do think he's a wide receiver 2 option, and I think Laviska is probably a wide receiver 3, and then Marvin Jones is a flex when one of them gets hurt. That's kind of how I view that wide receiver room.
Yeah,
cool. All right, let's talk about our next team. We're going to go to the Houston Texans, the fun loving Houston Texans that, one of these questions probably should be, are they locked into the number 1 overall pick? I think we would both answer yes, right? I don't think we even have to ask that.
I won't say locked in because I think for a couple of years now we said locked into number 1 pick and pretty much been wrong. But yeah, that's the trend. Yeah.
All right. So the 3 questions for the Houston Texans: how many of the 97 running backs that are all over 30 are going to see playing time? No, it's not. They're all like they're 29 and up. Most of them, except for Philip Lindsay. Is Nico Collins being underrated on rookie wide receiver lists? I understand that this graphic has a typo. I did these on my phone. I apologize. And then so obviously we don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to play. So would you make the bet that Tyrod Taylor is going to start more games, or Davis Mills, or someone else? I mean, they've got another group. And then how do you think there's a chance that one of them starts the full season, I guess? But we'll get to that one. How many of the running backs are going to see playing time in 2021?
4 for me. I think Ingram works in and gets a couple scores. I don't think it's any prominent. I don't even think he plays a full season. I think it's probably only 12 or 13 games. But I don't think anyone is ultra superior to Mark Ingram in that backfield. That would just equate to him never touching the ball. I think Burkhead will work in a bit because he has to. That's just his role, is working in and stealing touches. And then I think it truly will be a competition between David Johnson and Philip Lindsay, with David Johnson ending out after just a better performance than Lindsay last year. I think that'll continue for at least one more year. I don't think any of these running backs play 17 games. These 4 I just talked about.
That's funny you say that. I also project. So I looked at their totals from last year. None of them played 16 last year, and so I even gave them all a bomb.
None of these 4 played 13.
I know. It's crazy. So I gave them all 14 just to be safe. That's why my rankings are in points per game, though, so I can have fun like that. But I gave David Johnson a hit in his workload, but an increase in targets. I think he's the back. Now, that's where we differ, because I think Philip Lindsay is the 2, and then Burkhead will take some of the passing down work, and then Ingram's kind of – I statted it out as if Mark Ingram would be cut pretty much, and I can just transfer those to someone else. I just don't – David Johnson was actually pretty good last year. As much as I hated on him before, and as much as Sean is probably reveling in that right now, he was actually good and fairly efficient. So I guess, do you expect him to regress a little bit? Or
yeah. Well, and I think it to be a split backfield. It really wasn't last year. That's the difference. Yeah. I actually have him getting the same amount of rush attempts, but obviously with 3 more games, and then a slight increase in passing work, but not by a lot. I truly think it'll be a true 2-headed backfield between these 2, and that's why I don't quite know if either But saying that, I have David Johnson actually being fantasy relevant where the other three aren't really.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's actually how I have it as well. Except David Johnson's really high in my projections. I'll release all these eventually, but
yeah, because I have him getting about 167 points.
Yeah,
which I mean isn't anything great, but it's relevant. It's a flex option.
Yeah, I have his catches going up, and I should mention, which is kind of a segue into the third question, then we'll come back to the second. But I projected Deshaun Watson for 17 games. I know your mindset was the opposite. Deshaun Watson, even if he plays, he's probably not going to play for the Houston Texans, and I understand that. Now, when you started it out, then did you give Tyrod the games or did you give Davis Mills the games?
Oh, you're not gonna like the answer. It's almost perfectly split. It can't be because there's 17 games now. But I have Davis Mills getting 9 of the 17, and obviously Tyrod getting 8. Basically, Tyrod starting, not doing bad because Tyrod won't ever do bad, but he's not doing anything impressive. So they're gonna also Davis. If Watson isn't playing on this team, Davis Mills is getting a for real look. He's getting a for real shot. He's getting at least 4 or 5 games because if they have the number 1 pick or even a top 2 or 3 pick, they need to know if Davis Mills is anything. So they're giving him a full shot. I think I basically equated this to the Dolphins last year where I think Tyrod will play. I don't think he'll do anything wrong. I think he'll be fine. I don't think they'll be winning games necessarily, but he won't be the reason they're losing. And then they'll be like, well, fuck it. We need to know. I mean, that's exactly what the Dolphins did last year.
And then they stuck with Tua. If the Texans pick first overall, and even if Davis Mills is like, the best rookie quarterback, which is not going to happen, they have to pick a quarterback.
Yeah, but if he's like Kirk Cousins was when he actually got a shot. Like, he wasn't the greatest thing ever, but it was, or like Jimmy G in like the 4 games that he got a chance. Like, it wasn't like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. It was like, you know what? He could be our guy. And if that's the case, there's some top level defensive talent in the draft this year that would definitely warrant the first pick, whereas the quarterbacks with improvement would be first round talent, but maybe not like a top 5 lock a la like Lawrence or Fields.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I am with you. All right. And second question here, jumping back, which is really the third now. Is Nico Collins being underrated on rookie wide receiver lists? And then furthering that, do you see him as the 2 to Brandon Cooks? And how do you see Brandon Cooks performing this year?
Brandon Cooks, I think, is going to kill it. Let's just point that one out of the way. I think he's going to be at worst a wide receiver 2.
Yes.
Getting back to Nico Collins, though, as of now, I don't know how to feel about him. I want to get through all the training camp and everything, maybe watch a little bit of preseason, maybe I'll adjust the projections. But as of now, with the amount of veterans that they pack this room with, I don't have him getting a ton of looks early and being kind of like a mid-season starting to come along, like most rookie wide receivers that aren't top-level talent, like and draft capital, I guess I should say. I don't want to say he's not talented because that's not true. So I have him only like really playing in 10 games.
Okay.
So for that reason, I don't think he's like fantasy relevant. I think he, per game basis, isn't that relevant either. Like, it's just, I just don't see him. If he plays all 17 and he wins like the wide receiver 3 role out of camp, I think this changes completely. But because they have Randall Cobb still, they have Kiki Kuti, they have Andre Roberts, like Nico Collins on their depth chart is like wide receiver 5 or 6 right now. That's why I can't like love it yet. But it wouldn't make sense for them to cut at least one of these veterans and give him more of a shot. But until that happens, I have it lower. But clearly, the second that happens, I will upgrade the projections. But I have actually Kiki Kuti as the wide receiver 2, I believe. which makes sense with the talent level of quarterback and the schemes that they'll probably have to run.
Yeah. I actually have it that way too. I think Nico Collins is going to be ultra efficient when he does get looks. I think he's going to be used. Someone comped it. His situation is basically identical to Kenny Galladay's when he was a rookie, but we have to remember that Kenny Galladay took 2 years to really step up and be that player, and I think we're going to see that with Nico as well. I think right now he's the wide receiver 4 on this team. Granted,
yes, I do too.
An injury to Brandon Cooks means that Nico Collins is probably a league-winning ad mid-season.
Yeah, he would shoot up to the outside receiver because obviously Cobb really isn't that. Neither is Kiki. So Nico would shoot up. I agree. And I took a grain of salt with all the Bryan Edwards hype last year. It's the same thing with a lot of guys this year still. Nico not anywhere near to that extent, obviously, but for that reason, I always wait a bit for rookie fever to really set in, where there's still some rookie fever almost for Bryan Edwards again this year, and I still think that's a little misguided.
I don't care.
I don't think I think he's very talented. I think he has every shot. I think we just don't fucking know. I think we have 2 guys in the Raiders offense that have a role in the passing game, and that's about fucking it. So
I have Bryan Edwards as the wide receiver 4 if you count Waller, but that's a whole nother team. Yeah.
I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the Tennessee Titans. The 3 questions for the Titans. Is the absence of Arthur Smith more of a problem than we're making it out to be? Julio Jones or A.J. Brown? I figured I'd add this one in here as just a little fun talk since we argued about this the day of the trade. And then did the Titans do enough on defense to put their name in the Super Bowl discussion, I guess, would be the barometer, right?
Yeah, because they're already a playoff team. That's
right. All right. First question: absence of Arthur Smith more of a problem than we think. You can take this as for Derrick Henry. You can take this as for the tight end room. However you want to take it.
I think for the tight end room would be the only way it would really affect it for me, and I think that's just for that ultra quick jump we had to. Well, now Anthony Ferguson is going to be a god. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. He can be very valuable. He could be a tight end 2, maybe even a back end tight end 1, at least some weeks, if not for the season. We know how sometimes depleted that back end could be. I think it will be less of a pure focus on the passing game and more on the rushing game and more on the passing game. But the Julio trade dictates that anyways. So I think maybe over a month ago, this would have been a different kind of conversation. But the second they traded for Julio, it was going to be different. It can't be 400 rushing attempts for Derrick Henry, which would be close to the projection of his last year to a 17-game season. It just can't be. Not with 2 alpha receivers.
Yeah, it really can't be. I have them passing 80 more times. Now, I know the new offensive coordinator has harped on, we want to keep it as similar as we can. What Arthur Smith did was great, but they've also been very vague. And I think what that means is we want to pass more because we don't want Derrick Henry run into the ground before this window of ours closes. And I think if they give him 378 carries again, that's done. That's your last year. So I think they cut that back. And I think, like you said, they have to pass more. It's impossible not to. It's impossible.
Yeah, well, it is. And again, all these projections, they're going to be more plays. It's a whole nother game. Right. I have them passing about 60 more times and running about 15 more times, but totally. Yeah. And that doesn't just go to Derrick Henry. They have 3 running backs, and you have wide receivers that could take carries as well as Ryan Tannehill is going to run a good amount. So
yeah, he sure is. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a problem either. I do want to say that I think it's going to be a good thing for this offense because they're going to be more modern. Yeah, I can't believe you heard that.
Of course I did.
So, yes, I don't think it's a problem. I think they're going to give Darrington Evans some work. I think they're going to give Jeremy McNichols some work. And I think Julio's going to feast. And that leads us right into the next question. Julio Jones or A.J. Brown? Who's the wide receiver one of this team? Take it how you want it, whether it's fantasy football, whether it's real life. Ready, go.
Oh, it's A.J. Brown. No question.
You bastard. It is not.
It is. Tell me you have Julio scoring more points.
I do. I do have Julio scoring more points. And the reason I have Julio scoring more points is because they were very close last year on a per-game basis.
Oh, this guy – but you have Julio playing 17 games. You know as fucking hell that won't happen.
It's gonna happen. I think
I haven't played 15. I have him like a little banged up, nothing bad. His normal stuff. I also have AJ Brown only played 16. He hasn't played 17. So
that's true. On a per game basis, I think AJ Brown gets more touchdowns. I think AJ Brown gets more yak. I think Julio Jones is still commanding top coverage, but I think here's the thing. To your point, if teams view AJ Brown as a wide receiver one, which he is, like he's an alpha. Don't get me wrong; they're 1A and 1A. There's no 1A and 1B to me. I think you're gonna see some coverage shift over to AJ Brown, and then Julio's gonna feast, dude. Like Julio's still like if you watch his 9 games from last year, he's still the dominant receiver that he's always been.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me that year 3 AJ Brown has already surpassed what Julio Jones was. I think Julio's still in his prime. That's why.
Yeah, I have Julio dominating. That's not the difference is one guy's played in this offense and has rapport and has the deep routes. That's his routes. And he gets the yak plays short. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just have him getting a little bit more work.
Yeah.
And that kind of being the difference.
Yeah. It's close for me. I mean, it's 17 points. So I guess it's not that close. That's that's kind of a lot. But, I have Julio in my top 12. I think I have AJ Brown at wide receiver 13. They're the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, bar none to me. And there are a lot of good ones. I mean, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, I would argue CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. It doesn't matter. I think AJ Brown and Julio Jones are the best. So,
yeah.
They're both very good. All right, third question. Did the Titans do enough on defense to contend? They signed Bud Dupree. They got rid of some of their corners, which made no sense, I guess, because addition. Yeah, addition by subtraction, I guess, would be the argument there. Did they do enough? Are they Super Bowl contenders now?
No, but it's because it's the same aspect of like the Bills last year, where you knew they improved on defense, kind of. You knew their offense improved a lot with the addition of a top-end wide receiver, and you knew they were already a playoff team. They should make that next step to a Super Bowl contending team, but we have to see it. Like, obviously, the Bills are now a Super Bowl contending team, along with the Chiefs, and I could argue the Browns as well in the AFC right now. I think Tennessee's probably close to the leader of that next tier under, with a very, very possible chance to elevate to that top end tier, which speaks to how insane the AFC fucking is.
Yeah. Yeah, the AFC is it's crazy because they have the better depth, they have the better teams, and they're still going to lose the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. I mean,
it's very possible.
The Bucs are the best team in the NFL. The Titans, I think Julio gives them a whole new dynamic on offense. I think they have maybe the best 3 players if you include Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill has been no slouch either since he's been in Tennessee. But defensively, Bud Dupree doesn't do it for me just yet. I think they went the pass route or pass rush route.
Their D-line and pass rush will be top end. Harold Landry, Bud Dupree, that's insane. Their D-tackle pairings, Jeff Simmons and what else I can't think of at the moment. Yeah. That's going to be insane. it's past that.
Yeah,
the linebacking core is secondary is god.
Yeah,
So
not good.
Once you get past that front line, it's bad. I mean, think of the Browns last year. Their D line was very, very good, but everything else was questionable at best. I don't think they elevated to where the Browns are right now, which are clearly still not the best defense in the AFC.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you for sure. All right, that'll do it for our Burning Questions segment. We are going to get into our buy or sell NFL rumors, but first we are going to hear a word from a couple of our sponsors. Check out King Fantasy Sports' draft kit and get the advantage over your league mates this draft season. Do the right preparation and start your season off right. You'll get rankings, breakouts, busts, values, and sleepers. Have some funky settings? Learn how to make your own projections. Stop sitting on the sidelines and buy it now. Use our promo code THECUT to get an additional 10% off. We're talking $10 to get everything you need in your arsenal to not just compete, but dominate. Check out the link in the description of this podcast episode.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
Use promo code THECUT to get matching deposits up to $50 with a minimum deposit of $20. Thank you to Thrive Fantasy. That was my best idea yet. I love that.
Yeah, 100% best idea we've had in a while.
Yeah, that's. I need to tune up that last commercial. We'll fix that one, but it cuts out for so long, and then I come in and sound like a dipshit. All right, guys, we're here for our buy or sell NFL rumors. The thing that made me think about this, it was some Zach Moss news. So that's where we're going to start. Buy or sell, Randy. Zach Moss will take over as the clear workhorse in Buffalo.
No. Sell, I guess, is the correct term.
Yeah.
For me, I think he takes over slightly in the rushing department. I think he's more efficient there. And I think Singletary still splits the work in the passing game with possibly getting a bit more. I think Zach Moss's receiving skills are overhyped by fantasy Twitter a good bit. And I have him projected at 17 games. I think that's a stretch right now. Obviously, we haven't seen him do that. He is, I've said it on here, he's one of those like Derrick Henry kind of type where he gets stronger as the game gets going, runner. The longer he's in, the more touches he gets. He's not going to get that kind of workload in a split backfield. I don't think he takes over. I think they have three running backs that could truly get rushing work with Rita there as well with Singletary. I just don't see it, barring an injury, Singletary, him truly breaking out or them trading Singletary. His presence will forever make Zach Moss not break out, no matter what ball blast girls and I want to talk about.
Yeah. Michelle, she loves Zach
No,
Moss.
it's Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle and Kate, right?
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, they love Zach Moss, which I get it, but also Devin Singletary was better last year, and I don't see a reason why that's different this year. You know, like
my thing, Singletary got more rushes last year, but he played through more games. I think Zach Moss will take over the rushing because I don't think Singletary is that efficient in that aspect necessarily.
Zach Moss, though.
Neither is he. I agree, but again, it's the same thing I said. Like Zach Moss is 2 yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards. Gets to the fourth corner, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5. But he won't get that ever unless he's by himself.
Do you think there's a chance Matt Breida has more of a role than people think?
I have him getting 62 total touches. I mean,
Okay.
but I also don't think he'll play a full season.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. I don't love talking about the Buffalo backfield. I just thought that was an interesting one. It came through a couple days ago that he was taken over, so I don't believe it.
I mean, he very well could. He could be completely dominating Singletary in training camps. It's very possible. But it's one of those things where until he's getting 70% of the workload on the field, I can't buy it.
Yeah. All right, next one. Antonio Brown is back in form. Going to be a better value for your fantasy team than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for 2021. That's been a lot of the narrative recently, is that Antonio Brown is a hot target because you can make the argument that I would just say it's fact that Antonio Brown in his prime is better than Chris Godwin or Mike Evans
right now. Yeah.
Right now, but I don't know that Antonio Brown. So I guess buyers, are you buying or selling that, Randy?
They're selling as a value. I mean, what's the round difference is probably what, like
it's got to be 7 or 8, I think.
His round or difference?
Well, the difference.
I would say it's like 6, maybe.
Yeah, I guess probably 6. I don't have the ADP pulled up right now, but I would say like Evans is probably 3rd, Godwin 2nd.
I would say that. I think that both 3rd, honestly, but
probably.
I would say he's a value. I think he's going to be a good flex wide receiver 3 option. I have him as a little over 10 points per game. I mean, that's pretty good. It's just there's so much he's not going to be the top 2 or the top targets or catches. It's just not going to happen. Evans is going to get 1,000 yards. Godwin is going to play a full season and therefore probably get 1,000 yards and more targets. I think it's going to be a scary 3-person workload. But again, Antonio Brown is the older of the group. He is the vet. I think he gets, like 23, 24% of the workload for the wide receiver target share. That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not egregious, with the other two getting probably slightly above 30.
I have it lower. And the reason I have it lower is Chris Godwin was hurt for some of Antonio's games last year, right? But that's not the only thing. Giovanni Bernard, I think, has a role. And I think the reason that they said, fuck it, we're throwing to our wide receivers, and Antonio Brown is part of that, was because they didn't have a running back that they trusted. And then third, I have 3 reasons why, because I'm very low on Antonio Brown, I'm realizing after hearing you speak. OJ Howard, I think, is going to demand more targets. He was very good in the first couple of games before he got hurt. People forget.
I agree. Forget. He's going to get more than 19 targets. I agree. Very good.
No, I mean, yes. I mean, on a game-to-game basis, I think that's pretty similar. But I actually have him regressing from what he did last year. The thing is, though, is OJ Howard was better than Rob Gronkowski for 4 games last year.
The guy that just came out of retirement, I agree.
I know, and that's why I have him regressing, but I do think that he's going to be targeted. I think they still run 12 all the time.
I think they run 12, but I don't think it's as aggressive as you are led to believe by the OJ Howard love.
Yeah.
It's the same argument for Antonio Brown, though, that you're making for like Godwin. When he was out, Antonio Brown got more work, but Antonio Brown wasn't full form until late in the year too. So what, like, it's the same thing with Gronk. As the season went along, they felt more comfortable. They were in the offense. They got it together. But it came to playoff time, and it clearly worked the fuck out. I think we're seeing the same thing, except a full season workload for both. in this kind of offense. I do see a downtick for Gronk because of OJ Howard, so I agree with you there, but I don't think it's egregious. I don't think OJ Howard is all that fantasy relevant this season, only because he has to split. And for that reason, I also don't think Gronk is like a top 10 option either because he has to split it.
I think I might have Gronk coming in at tight end 12 still because touchdowns. I also have Brady throwing 44 touchdowns, so I'm a freaking lunatic. I don't know what to tell you. He threw 40 last year, and that was the first year in the offense. All right, buy or sell. Ezekiel Elliott is quicker and more elusive. This was a direct quote from a report from NBC Sports Edge earlier this week. He's looking sharp. Buy or sell?
I'll buy it. I think he looks sharper than last year, where he gave up because he had Andy Dalton quarterback and Ben DiNucci.
Yeah,
I think that's all we should take it as. So I think it's a sell, but it's a buy. I think he's back. He's full health. He's reinvigorated, knowing that Dak's going to be back in this offense, and he's got this insane receiving core to work with. So he's not going to face stack boxes. He's still going to get his work. But I think Zeke's going to kill it.
I also think Zeke's going to be very good. I think they were talking in my Scott Fishbowl chat today about this, and this is the first time he's ever really taken the offseason to get better. Like normally he eats a lot of food and he comes in fat, and then he has to cut all of his weight in the first couple of weeks of training camp. And this year, like he's already there, and so I think he knows that his job is on the line. Tony Pollard was good. Now they paid him a ton of money. It's good to see that he is coming in ready this year. But Dallas offense is going to be absurd, just stupid, not even fair.
Yes, it will be. And I mean, Dallas is going to be absolutely lethal. Could be the best offense.
They're up there with the Bucs.
Yeah. They'll be up there with the Bucs, with the Chiefs, with Ravens for different aspects, but like it's the top level.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Buy or sell. Trey Lance will start week 1. I saw this a few times on Twitter today, which made me put it on a graphic and ask you.
Sell.
Yeah, same.
If Jimmy G's there, I say sell. Because obviously if he's traded away due to some training camp or preseason injury and them just wanting to give him full access, or he's ready and he takes the full access. Obviously that's part of the equation there. I do have him taking over eventually, but I do have Garoppolo outpacing him for games.
I believe I do too. I think it's 9 to 8.
Same. Wait. I'm looking at shirts actually. Let me check mine. I actually have him outpacing Garoppolo. Sorry. Yeah. I haven't.
You have 10 to 7.
I have 10.
That's the bye week, I believe.
Yeah. So, I saw the bye week, and I've already talked about this once. I saw the Miami situation. I truly did. I think San Francisco is going to be good, and I think Jimmy G is going to be okay. Yeah, because he's okay.
I actually think Jimmy G is going to do quite well when he plays. Not maybe for fantasy, but like for NFL terms, I think he's probably pissed off, and so I think he's going to play well enough to get maybe traded. So maybe I gave him one too many games. I don't know when the trade deadline is, but I think we could see a midseason trade in that aspect.
It's very possible, and there's probably going to be a quarterback hurt. And Jimmy G is the best quarterback on the market right now, I'd say.
Probably. Unless Aaron Rodgers is, but he's not. So
I don't count him. Yeah. And I'm not counting Watson.
Yeah, definitely not. Aspect. Yeah. All right. Buy or sell. Mike Williams will play X receiver and receive an increase in target share in 2021. This report's been all over the place for the last month and a half now. Randy, are you buying or selling this?
I'll buy. But I don't think it's like an egregious increase in targets necessarily. I mean, there's less competition for targets now. And especially the biggest thing for him now is there's less competition in the red zone with Hunter Henry gone. Jared Cook, obviously, going to be good in that aspect. But I think Mike Williams, if he can even play 15 games again, actual 15 games, I think he's going to be very good. And wide receiver 2, maybe? It's on that border.
Yep, it sure is. I've been tweeting out that he's my wide receiver 23. I did bump someone up above him. He's my wide receiver 24 this year. I think Mike Williams is a stud. I got him as my wide receiver 5 in the Dynasty League, and I am freaking stoked about it because I think what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to flip Mike Williams for someone, or I can hold him and just have a really good wide receiver option. This offense is going to be much, much better. I would say just the addition of Rashawn Slater on that offensive line mixed with Corey Linsley and whoever the hell else they added. I think that gives Herbert a little bit more time. And I made an argument a few weeks ago that I think Herbert's going to regress only in touchdown percentage. I think he's good, and maybe yards per completion, but that's only because of the nature of the offense. Mike Williams playing the Michael Thomas role instead of the go routes. I think that's going to be really, really good for fantasy and for the Chargers. I think they're going to be a good team, like very good. Like I think they're stupid good, actually. I think they probably make the playoffs. So
I think Mike Williams scores 200 fantasy points or right on the border. And I think that's so like a landmark kind of number.
Yeah, it is. That's exciting. All right, next one. Buy or sell, Joe Mixon may see the largest workload of his career.
Buy. Because he said bye to Gio Bernard.
Yeah, that's true. What is the largest workload of his career? He's split time every single year he's ever been there. So exactly. I don't think that's hard to do.
That's why it's a buy without even thinking of it.
Yeah.
Because he's got 2 backs that besides taking like a normal kind of small committee workload won't take that much from him.
Yeah. I actually have Joe Mixon at my RB 14, so I do have him outside of the top 12. But
I have no idea where he's at.
I also have him getting 270 touches. So I think they're gonna still use some type of back. The funny part about that buy or sell is that there was a report Joe Mixon won't be the only running back in that room. I think that was them hyping up Chris Evans, the rookie running back that apparently has like God level hands. That's what the coaches are talking about. That's coach speak. I mean, he's good, but I think Joe Mixon is definitely in line for a ton of work. I think he stays healthy. Granted, the last 2 guys we've talked about, they have to stay healthy for this to happen. And
well, everyone has to stay healthy for this to happen. That's right.
That's very true. Yeah. All right. Next one. Buy or sell, Cam Newton and Mac Jones are going to enter a true competition in training camp. As in, winner of training camp wins the job.
Buy?
Okay.
But it's a weird buy. Like, it's a buy as in if Cam's like, it's not going in like they're both taking half and half first team reps. I think it's if Cam's struggling early, Mac's going to immediately get more touches in training camp and everything. So that's it's literally only a competition if Cam is playing like he did the second half last year.
Yeah.
Where he can't hit a receiver.
Here's my thing. Yes, I believe that is the case because I think Bill is smart enough to put out his best quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think Cam loses that competition. I really don't.
Not this year. But me and you were both in the case that we didn't think Mac Jones was ready to play this year going into the draft. If he was forced to, he could.
Yeah.
That was our basis, and we had him as I don't want to say what we had him as a grade because I don't really remember at this point.
Second round. We had him as
round. I know you did. I want to say I think I had him as a late first, but I can't really remember.
I think you did. But
either way, I mean that's still very good. It's just it's he's nowhere near the level of the other guys, in my opinion. And I think he plays a little bit. I don't think he does anything really. Yeah. But I do think it's his team next year.
Yeah, I'm with that. But I think it's Cam's this year for the most part. So
yeah.
All right, buy or sell. McCole Hardman has made sizable improvements. I should have put that in quotes. I saw that earlier. And he will be the clear wide receiver 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Buy or sell?
Ooh. Sell? Maybe. Hold on. Let me go to them because I don't want to speak out of turn. So it's actually a buy for me, as in he's the clear wide receiver 2. But in being the clear wide receiver 2, he is the clear wide receiver 3. Because Kelsey is the wide receiver 2 or 1, depending on how you look at it.
He's the 1.
I have Nicole Hardman getting one more catch than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I have him getting less.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think he's clearly the second best receiver on this team in this room. And he's got the second highest draft. He might have the highest draft capital in this room.
He does.
But Pringle is going to get some work. Demarcus Robinson will for sure get some work. He's always going to be on the field. But I think that's about it. I think Cornell Powell will be pretty much a non-factor this year.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be McCole is going to get the full shot to be the number 2 this year. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And they're drafted receiver early next year, if that's the case.
I think McColl's probably pretty good this year, but he'll have a couple boom weeks and he'll have the duddiest of dud weeks. It'll be like Sammy Watkins light. And I don't know that it'll be week 1 for McCole, but someone has to take over the Sammy Watkins week 1 boom, right? Is it going to be him or is it going to be Byron Pringle? Who knows? But
that'll be the only game Powell plays.
I think yeah, that'd be tough. So yeah, I don't want a piece of him in fantasy football.
But I also only have the Chiefs throwing 2 more times than they did last year. I think they're going to run more this year. So not a lot more. Yeah. And it's not a lot more either. The Chiefs legitimately run a ton of plays. I think it's going to come down a little bit on the amount of plays this year. Yeah. And that's going to be kind of the difference. So they're going to be obviously really, really good. It's just there's only 3 players not named Patrick Mahomes I really would care about.
Yeah, that's true. All right. 2 more. Buy or sell. Richard Sherman and the Saints have mutual interest.
Buy. I just don't know if they can pay. Yep.
Yeah. That's actually exactly what I was going to say. I think, of course.
Why wouldn't they have interest? Yeah. They need help.
I mean, they need. Here's where I think you could say it's a sell. He wants to win a Super Bowl, right? He wants to go and get another Super Bowl. Are the Saints Super Bowl contenders right now? No.
But if you look at it, does he fit the Bucs as a rotational corner? Probably not the full-time starter. Yeah. No. But that's not what he wants. Well, I just don't think he comes in and beats the starter.
No,
I think they like their 2 corners. And then you go Browns, they have their corners right now. Bills he could go to because they never addressed that second position, but they're not in talks apparently.
Right.
I mean, you start checking off the teams and you're like,
Titans, dude. He's got
Titans make sense.
Yeah.
Seattle, if he goes back, makes sense. 49ers, if he goes back, makes sense. Chiefs, if he goes there, makes some sense. It's not the greatest fit with their talent in the secondary, but
he's not washed either.
No, he's not. He's not washed, but he's not Legion of Boom.
No, but he never was, even in San Francisco. But he was very good.
That was the talent level I meant.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We saved the best for last. We told you earlier we were going to talk about Paris Campbell. Buy or sell. Paris Campbell will break out as the wide receiver 1 or 2 for the Colts. I want to specify in 2021. And then what does that mean for his fantasy value if you buy it?
Well, I'm buying it. Okay. And he's going to be the wide receiver 2.
Okay. I'm gonna figure out what I.
Let's be clear, though. A Paris Campbell breakout is playing majority of the season. Necessarily.
That's true. Yeah.
He's played one full game in his career, I believe.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what we're looking at here. I think he is slightly outpaced by Michael Pittman. But I also have Michael Pittman playing one more game than him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be a good flex option for you.
Yeah, I think they bring Paris Campbell back slowly. And so I think he doesn't play a full season. I think they give it some extra time. I've heard that he's 100% at this point. I need to see it in training camp before I'm ready to say, yeah, Paris Campbell's for sure going to play a full season. In terms of his points per game, I have him as the wide receiver 1. I have him averaging 8.5 points per game, which is kind of what I alluded to earlier, that I don't want these wide receivers. I would love to say I do want Paris Campbell on my team, but I think your upside's capped with that offense. So,
So in total points, Pittman slightly edges out Campbell for me, but in per game, Campbell slightly edges out Pittman.
Yeah, I actually have T.Y. Hilton squeezed right above Paris Campbell in total points, but that's just because of the extra couple of games. And so
I think there's a chance Paris Campbell plays more games than T.Y. Hilton.
I don't even hate that. I have it at 13 and 15. And of course that's an estimate. A lot of people say don't project injuries. It's not really injuries that we're projecting. It's just kind of a law of averages. Paris Campbell's played, like Randy said, one game his entire career. To project a full 17 doesn't feel right. So I knocked it down a bit.
Yeah, there's people that clearly have played 15, 16 games every season. There's people that have played 13, 14 every season. Yeah. So for them to play another extra game just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for our buy or sell segment and the entire episode. So if you guys liked it, make sure if you joined us live, thank you. Also, we do have a YouTube. If you search the Cut FFB, we do stream over there. If you joined us on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate you. Facebook and Twitter as well. Every Monday night at 10:30, we do go live. But if you're listening to us audio only, we would appreciate any subscription or 5-star rating. Those definitely help us. And we've got a lot of nice podcasts that will be filtering in through that feed here in the next couple of weeks. So, or months. Months. Let's slow down, Christian. So, yes, that's all I have to say on that. Remember, bookmark thecutffb.com. We've got a nice little article series that's going to start rolling out here soon from a ton of our contributors. And we've got a lot of stuff in the works over there. Might have a website update. Need to talk to our website guy. But yeah, I gave him a warning. But so yeah, Randy, do you have anything to add before we bounce out of here?
No, necessarily. I guess just excited to keep going with Sky Fishbowl tomorrow. Hopefully by our show next week, we have it done. We'll see.
I don't think so, but
yeah.
But we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited for all these drafts. Again, if you guys are looking for
I'm excited for some.
If you guys are looking for new Dynasty leagues, just at me on Twitter and I can retweet your stuff. There's always people that are looking to add leagues. And if you play on Sleeper, which you should because it's the best app, they now have a feature where you can find leagues. So I found that out the other day. Thought that was pretty cool. Shout out Sleeper if you want to sponsor the podcast. I know you already sponsor one big one, but, just hit us up. We're open.
And cheaper.
Yeah. Definitely that. That is for sure. All right. For Randy Hall, I am Christian Williams. We will talk to you guys next Monday. Later.